The younger son went to his father and said, I need it now. I want my inheritance now. And the father, loving him so much, said yes, and divided the estate between the two sons. And the younger son took his half and went out to a far country and squandered it all in wild living and decadence. When all the money was gone, a famine hit the land, and he found himself starving alone in a far-off place. And eventually he found work feeding the hogs. And he was so hungry and so poor and so destitute, he longed to eat the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one offered him any. And then he came to himself. He realized who he was. And he said, even the servants in my father's home have clothes and more than enough to wear. I will return home and I will tell my father that I have sinned against heaven and against him and ask for forgiveness. So he set off for home. But before he could even get there, his father saw him at a distance, and he dropped everything and ran and met him halfway out in the field and wrapped his arms around his son. In a moment that was captured by Rembrandt in this painting, a moment of pure love and affection. And the son said, Father, I am not worthy. I have sinned against heaven and against you, and I only ask that you treat me as a servant. And the father, in an instant said to the servant, quick, get a robe for him, and shoes for his feet, and a ring for his finger, and kill the fatted calf, for we must have a celebration. For my son who is lost has been found. And that moment is so amazing. Whenever I tell this story, I remember that the Father doesn't forgive because he never condemned. The Son asks for forgiveness, and the Father just lavishes him with praise and comfort and affection. That Father truly is prodigal, lavish, wasteful, exuberant in his love. But there's more to the story. In the photo, we also see the elder brother. In the painting, we see the elder brother. But in the story, the elder brother wasn't there at that moment. He comes home from his day in the fields, and he hears the celebration. And he asks one of the servants what's going on. And the servants tell him, well, your younger brother who is lost has been found, and your father has killed the fatted calf, and we're throwing a big party. And the brother refuses to come in. And even in this painting, you can see he's apart. He refuses to join the embrace. He refuses and holds back his affection. He isolates himself in his anger, his judgment, his resentment. And I love the word resentment because it means to re-feel, right? So when we have a resentment, when we're holding a resentment, we are feeling over and over and over something from the past. And resentment and anger, I truly believe, are the glue that keeps us trapped in the moment of hurt. Someone did us wrong, and so we feel justified in holding it. But what we do is build our own prison. We build our own cage in our own inability to feel and give and receive love and affection. I have preached, talked, shared this story before. It's been several years. But it still brings a tear to my eye, and I have been reminded of late that I am living it, and I am not the father that I would want to be. A couple years ago, our eldest son we were away for a Christmas trip. He couldn't join us for work or something. I don't even remember anymore. And when we got home from the Christmas trip, he had sold everything we had given him for Christmas and everything we had given him, including the TVs off the wall, and he had moved away and run away. And I was devastated. He was 18 years old, and hurt is the way I would describe it today. And as happens with 18-year-olds, boys especially, he came home. Eventually he came back. Eventually he got tired of couch surfing. Eventually all the money had been spent, and he was living like the prodigal son in the story was living. And he showed up on our door again, and we took him back in. But I noticed something. I noticed something at myself. When he moved back into his room, the holes where he had ripped the TV off the wall to sell it were still there, and I refused to patch them. And I said to my husband, well, I'm not buying him a new TV. I am not getting him a new TV. And I found myself withholding. And one day in therapy, I had to go, oh, I'm not forgiving him. I'm holding on to this resentment, and I want him to be punished more. I'm the brother in the story. I'm not the father. I'm the brother. And in that moment, I could feel the compassion come back into my heart for the pain he went through, the pain he lives with, and the pain that I felt too. My unforgiveness, my pettiness, my small-mindedness was right in front of my face. And I had to forgive me too. So we got a new TV. So we fixed up his room again. We got new furniture. And we fully celebrated his return, his real joining, conscious joining of the family. We can often, all of us, be that brother, right? Holding on, thinking we're alone, thinking nobody sees us or knows what we're been through or the pain we felt. And there's a way that we can know how to shift this. What this experience has taught me once again, and what this story keeps unfolding for me, is that we must look at ourselves to be different, to shift. No matter how far down the journey we are, no matter how many times we've thought we've gotten it right, there is always more to do. And I came across this list, and I've edited it a little bit, but I wanted to share it with you, of how you know you're holding a grievance. All right? So get ready for your pop quiz. This is how you know if you're being the brother rather than the father in the prodigal son. Have you told your story more than twice to the same person? Now, raise of hands. Yep, more than twice you've told that same story, and they have to remind you, yeah, we've heard this before, right? Might be a grievance. Do you find yourself speaking to that person even when they're not in the room? Okay, maybe look at that. Might be a grievance. Is the person who hurt you the central character, the villain of your story? Right? Yes. We're going to do a country western song. They done me wrong here. Right? Our next song will be about that. Does your story focus primarily on what the pain you've experienced and the loss you're experiencing? Is your story just about you? Yeah, right? Okay. Do you look for sympathetic people to tell it to? Ooh, they'll agree with me. They'll think he's so bad. She's awful. Oh, I know. I can find those people anywhere. Right? And has your story stayed the same over time? Right? Does it not shift? Does it not grow? Do you not take on new interpretations of it? It's the same. You're locked. You're glued to that resentment. You're glued to that pain in that moment. If that's what you find yourself doing, experiencing, and knowing, you're not being the Father. This is when you're not saying, bring the robe, bring the sandals and the ring and kill the fatted calf. Let's have a feast, for it is shifted. It is shifted. And there's a simple solution. It's just awareness. All of us do this. I mean, laughter is fun because I know I'm not alone. Laughter is fun because I know I'm not alone. But here's how we shift out of this, folks. Here's how we make this a better place for ourselves, for our children, and for the rest of the world. Listen to yourself. Listen to the stories you tell. Listen to how they don't shift. Examine why you're telling them. What's your motive for it? Right? So just listen to the story you tell. And then you have to name the hurt. Right? Because what a lot of us will do is spiritual bypass. Well, he did this to me, but I forgive him because I'm a forgiving person. Right? I'm over it. And you can see in my face I'm not over it. You know, because they've told you this story 10 times, they're not over it. You have to be able to name the hurt. You have to say, I was devastated by Toby selling everything we gave him. I felt personally unworthy, devalued. Like everything I had done was for naught, was disrespected. I felt disrespected. And to be able to say that and then to examine it, well, was he actually doing it to me? No, of course not. But until I come up with exactly what the hurt is, I can't get beyond my small thinking. I can't see it from his perspective of what pain he must be in to do something like that. Right? So when I can name my hurt and live with it, I'm able to see the other side of the coin. And it's a strange paradox, right? To name your hurt sets you free. But to bypass it, to pretend it's not there, just locks you in this bitter pattern. So name your hurt. Find someone you can trust that won't let you say it to them 10 times, but will hold you in your true expression of your feelings. And then your job is to forgive for good, to forgive and forgive and forgive. And every time you feel that resentment coming back, remember you're forgiving for good, meaning forever. And you're also forgiving for good, so that there can be something else that comes out of this relationship, so that there can be something good that blossoms from this experience. When we forgive, we're allowing the infinite field of possibility once again to come back up. But if we won't forgive, it is closed. That door is slammed because we're not participating. We're not participating in the infinite field. We're saying, that's it, it's over, it is sealed, done, tombed. Is that how any of us want to live? No. But we do it when we go unconscious. So forgive for the good that's about to come when you do. Forgive out of self-interest. And then live. Live and love abundantly. Become the prodigal father. The second definition of prodigal, first is wasteful, but the second definition of prodigal in the dictionary is lavish. Lavish. Right? Be the lavish father. Love. Live prodigally. Live like there's nothing to fear. Let's take that to our time of meditation.